Welcome to the Ninth Beer of Oktoberfest. Today we are drinking Oktoberfest from True Vine Brewing in Tyler, Texas. And with me is Andy Gerron. Andy has been a realtor for 18-ish years.
Going on 18
Going
years.
on 18 years and is currently with Exit Realty.
Currently and forever.
Currently and forever.
Yes. Yes.
Thanks for joining me, man.
No
Cheers.
problem. Thank you. Cheers.
I forgot to say what we're talking about today. So Andy has been around for a long, long time, especially in realtor years, right?
In realtor years,
That's
yes.
like dog years.
Yeah, because they say the first 2 years, if you can survive, then you're doing really well. Because 85% of realtors will stop within 2 years.
Right.
Yes.
So coming up on 18.
Yes.
So that's 9 realtor lifetimes,
That's 9,
basically.
Yes. But I'm not a cat. That's not 9 lives.
Oh, it's not 9 lives, just 9 realtor.
As Woodstock, our beagle that's just around the corner here would attest, I'm a dog person.
This is true.
Yes.
And we may have a dog in the video soon.
There's a very good possibility.
Yeah, we don't know about that.
Yes.
We'll see how it goes.
I can see a shadow.
But since you are so experienced, one of the things I want to talk to you about is the problems that people run into when they're buying a house that they may not be expecting. Because I assume in 18 years you've seen a little bit of everything.
Yes.
So walk us through what are the things that home buyers, and let's talk about sellers too. What are the things that people run into that they're like, oh no, I wasn't expecting that, and stuff for people to watch out for?
Right. We'll start with buyers. A lot of buyers think that, wow, what are the steps? They don't know a lot of things. Their realtor should be able to sit them down and say, this is what you are expecting to do. First of all, you want to make sure that you're using a lender. We like to use local lenders. Nothing against the national, but that way if there's ever a problem that arises, you can go into their office and sing Henry VIII all you want until they respond. But we have such great local lenders here. And the thing with that is you want to be able to be approved. Mm-hmm. You know, the pre-approval, pre-qualification. But at least that way you know what you're looking for. A lender will tell you that they need, really at the beginning, make sure that you have a job, especially if you've been there for 2 years, or if you've moved on, that it's an increase in pay, or it's on the same field. And you don't want to go from being a pediatrician to working at 7-Eleven. Nothing against 7-Eleven, but with the skill and the pay, it's going to go down what you can afford. So if
you do that, you can't keep the $1 million house, is what you're thinking.
That's correct.
No,
yes.
Or you can't buy the new $1 million house.
Yes,
okay.
That's the thing. And they're going to, a lot of them you could do online. I'm not saying go online to find a lender. I'm saying when you contact a local lender, they may say, hey, fill out this form. It's online. That way it's real simple, but call me if you have any questions. And they're going to want to, once you get into the process, tax returns for the last 2 years, and also the current 30-day pay stub, bank statement, or whatever the current pay stub is, and then bank statement as well. And they'll ask for updated ones as you get closer. But the cool thing is that the realtor's there to protect the buyer, if they're working with a buyer, or the seller. And what I mean by that is we don't see a lot of for sale by owners anymore. We used to see a ton. In fact, there used to be a company out here, and you can get into a magazine, and we don't do magazines that much anymore because things are gone like that. But the thing with that is that we're here to protect you. All the legality falls on our shoulders instead of for y'all. But as a licensed Texas realtor, I could show you any properties. And I tell people, if there's something you want to buy in Houston, I could sell you a property in Houston, but you have to pay for the plane ticket. But we're there to protect you. Do they also have to
play for the ticket to the Astros game while you're there?
Go Braves.
What if the Braves were in Houston playing?
Oh, yeah, then yes.
Okay, all right.
Yes. Actually, if the Astros win, that's great. It's great for either because of the two states, and we won't get too political, but I think y'all know what I'm talking about. But we're here to help guide you. We're going to be the ones that order the home warranty for you. We're going to be the ones that make sure that there's a survey, because a title company, if there isn't one that the seller has, and the survey just shows the boundary. It's not going to show the house. It'll show the house, but not inside the house. It'll show if there's any easements, if the fence line is on, which it's never on perfectly, and that's fine. It's always an eighth of an inch off here or there. But we're going to be the guide for you. We're your trusted advisors to make sure that each step of the way, because what I tell a lot of buyers is, like, you're not buying jeans where you can return it after 3 days. This is a house where it's going to be your security, where you're going to teach your kids how to make pancakes, where you're going to just do a lot of the family events, and this is your security. And we saw that here for the last 20 months where parts were shut down, that owners realized, wow, maybe we need an extra bedroom for an office, or maybe we need that. And not just owners, but renters too, thinking, wow, I wish we could have done more to our house to really have it designed the way that we need it. We're going to go ahead and look to buy. But that's what, working with buyers, we're going to take you step by step through the process. And I don't want to say hold your hand, but help lead you through it, because this is what I do for a living. Yeah. And then on the seller's part, what I do is, sometimes sellers, they sell every 2-3 years, things like that. But there's some that, hey, we haven't sold a house in 30 years. We only bought this house. What do we do? And so there's a whole nother process, but the end result is still going to be the same, to make sure, because you'll see that a lot of people, and this is the one downfall to real estate, well, that communication, but a lot of them look at this as they do transactional, and it goes without saying, highly relational. So,
right. Yeah. So once you get under contract, once you get that pre-approval and you're kind of rolling along, I would think next round of problems you might run into is shopping.
Right.
What problems do you see people running into when they get that shopping process started?
The first thing is, let's say that we've already been looking at houses. We're now under contract. And so once we're under contract, it's the hurry up and then wait. Right? And so what I mean by that is, at the beginning, you're going to have the inspections. Now, how it used to be is you try to give an option of 3. And so I would tell buyers, either somebody you know, I have somebody, or look in the phone book. You can tell how long I've been doing this, because I don't think phone books really exist anymore. People just Google it. Hey Siri, hey Alexa, hey, I'm sure there's songs about it. I'm sure there's, baby phone book, or whatever on that. But the cool thing is that, again, we try to use local inspectors, because they understand the market here, and they know the difference, because there's things on the inspection report, such as the dryer vent doesn't terminate outside of the house, because sometimes it'll go into the attic. But in Lubbock, that's fine. That's not looked at so much as a fire hazard. It's still noted, but down in the Houston area or anything like that has more of the wet climate, that's where it'll look like more of a problem. But so once you're under contract, we'll get the inspections ordered, and there's 2 things that you used to say 2 things you pay up front, but it's now on one check, and that's the earnest money and the option fee. Earnest money just takes the house off the market, and usually that's 1% of the sales price, and the option fee, usually $50, $100, $200, will give you anywhere from really 7 to 10. I know some realtors like to do 14, but you should be able to get everything done within 10 days. That it backs up the earnest money in case you wake up and you decide you don't want that house within that 10-day allotted time, or if there's something major on the inspection report that just can't be fixed, a cracked foundation, or an AC unit that's not working and the seller doesn't want to do anything with that. But you would get that earnest money back minus that option fee and any fee that you've incurred for the inspections, things like that. However, everything looks good most of the time. I mean, it's rare that we see somebody back out, but that money goes towards your down payment. So it's just not poof up in the air. But once you are under contract, the lender's going to reach out to you and say, who do you use for insurance? And with that, again, probably you want to do a bundle with who you already have for your car, for anything else. And then as well as just gathering all the information that they want. Then one thing keep in mind, especially if you're not from here, who are the utilities through? And you kind of want to also, this is when you're shopping for homes, you want to know what your budget is, because you're going to have the utilities as well. Some people, it's brand new for them because they may be in an apartment or a house where all utilities, all bills are paid. So with this, there might be somewhat of a little shock, but then again, with rates being so low, more than likely you have a lower house payment than what the rent was, and now you're just building your equity. You're building just a different lifestyle. You don't have to ask, hey, can I have a dog? Hey, can I have a cat? Oh, here comes the landlord, let's hide a cat, or anything like that. So that seems to be the biggest. But you're going to have questions, and I tell buyers, I said, look, you're going to call me so many times after a while. You're going to say, I feel bad. Don't feel bad. Again, you're not buying a pair of jeans. You're buying something that you're going to live in, that you're going to spend a good chunk of your day in.
Yeah. Yeah. So what kind of problems do people run into with that inspection?
Okay.
Just maybe typical high level stuff
Yeah.
that people, because I know you get that inspection report, it's 30-ish pages long, and that's terrifying to some people. But what are the real problems in there that you're seeing?
Well, first, your realtor should, I don't say warn, but they're going to know if they represent the seller, there's going to be an inspection, and the job of the inspector is to tear the house apart because they don't want to be held liable for anything. Sometimes we'll see where there's a ceiling fan with a light system where 3 of the 4 lights work, and they'll put on there either a light bulb is dead or an electrical issue. And it's 2 ends of the spectrum. If they can see if they barely turn it and it'll turn on, they can't touch it because now they're held liable if something breaks. Mm-hmm. But what we're looking for is a 2S, the safety and structure. Mm-hmm. They'll get up on the roof and they'll make sure, hey, you need a licensed roofer, whether it's LBK Roofing or the one that the Mullins own. And it's the same thing. But use a local roofer also. That you, again, try to use local because they're going to understand the market, and if there's ever an issue, they're right there. But there's going to be, I always tell both the buyer and the seller, there's going to be a leak under the sink. Because when you turn the water on, there might be like a small drip. What are the odds after having it on for 7 minutes or so? And the oven, they'll turn it to 350, and they try to find it within 25 degrees when they touch or test that. Also, they'll have a temperature gauge for the vents because they're going to make sure that the AC is going to a certain level. Every single time you'll get back on the inspection report that the interior doors are made of hollow core. Every interior door. You don't need a bank door for the bedrooms or anything like that. But a lot of the things that you're going to run into is an outlet that's not working, maybe an outdated Federal Pacific, what do you call it? Panel. Yes, which we just got ours replaced 2 months ago after living here for 15 years. You can see how concerned we were about that, but we understand that buyers are concerned. We'll make sure there's no high-tech plumbing. That was in the early 2000s because that with the brass fittings contracts, expands, and those become loose. And then the way that the plumbing was through the walls and stuff, you can have a mess. And it's Earl's Plumbing, who here locally would be able to take care of it, but you're looking at thousands of dollars. But it's really the big things. You'll have transition pieces that are off, or maybe they're painting and like right here that you don't have the plates on. So the little things like that, that's more of a hindrance, but you're looking for the things that can really impact. And also if you're doing, because there's so many different kinds of loans, you can get a VA, USDA, FHA, and conventional, and with the VA and FHA, they gauge how much peeling and paint out there, so you might need to get that fixed. So there's a lot of different things that you want to look for, and turn off my phone. There we go. It's actually Kobe. Hi, Kobe. But we were talking about him earlier. But no, so everything on that, you want to be able to look. It's going to be, like he said, it's going to be a long list, but you're looking for the things that are worrisome. And then from there, you just put it in an amendment. And I was talking to a realtor we have in our office that is licensed in New Mexico and in Texas and in New Mexico. There's 3 pages. The seller has to sign one, the buyer has to sign one, and it's called a whole omission thing and fix and this. And here in Texas, it's called amendment. It's not that we're lazy, but I mean a fireplace a place where you have a fire, that's pretty lazy right there. But with this, it's just a simple 1-page amendment, and you can put in. If you need a second page, you can always add to that. But it seems that we're so friendly out here that the buyer and the seller, they trust each other with that, hey, you're about to buy my house, and hey, you're letting me come in and purchase your house, that we try to have a good connection there. Although some of the times they never meet each other.
Sure.
Except at passing with the keys.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah. So if I heard you correctly, what you were kind of getting at there was you're worried about the big, what do you call it, safety and structure.
Yes.
The small things, unless it's an FHA or VA loan, you're not worried about chipped paint or peeled paint. You're not worried about a missing plate. You're not worried about a little drip under the sink, because apparently that's going to happen on every house. Yeah. Nearly. Yes. Between 2-bathroom house is going to have 3 sinks at least in it.
Yes.
And so there's going to be a leak somewhere.
Right.
Yeah. So it's just the big things that you're
It's the
concerned
big things
about.
because the shower head may drain slow, but you get the CLR and just stick that up there and you're good to go. But yeah, it's going to be the big things on that will scare people. And the thing is, because you have a little more leniency with conventional than you do FHA, it's a little over 3-to-1 that people are doing conventional over FHA. When I first started, it was flipped.
Okay.
But it just seems that tighter but still extremely fair lender requirements that before, if you had a pulse, you get a loan. And so it's like with the SAT, if you know your name, you get 400 automatically. So yeah.
So what happens if you come out of that inspection and there are massive safety or structural problems? You're talking about a repair amendment. Is there another option besides repair?
I mean, you could always back out, or if it's something with a foundation, you can get someone like Childress Brothers, who's local, to come out here, or if the roof needs to be replaced, then that's fine because you'll have their insurance come out there. But I mean, on most things, it's fixable.
Okay.
But I mean, if it's something that it just scares, because I mean, for a lot of first-time home buyers, it's scary, even if the house is perfect, even a brand new built home, but still you have that option that you can't sign anything at closing under duress. It doesn't matter if you have a contract, that becomes null and void if you sign under duress.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So let's say you get past the option period, you're past your inspections, things are cruising along. What's the next problem somebody might encounter that they're not expecting?
That might be a lender problem.
Okay.
And we see that a lot with...
So you talked about pre-approval, and I don't mean to interrupt you, but
no, you're fine.
I want to roll you back just a step. You talked about pre-approval earlier. Now you're talking about actual approval. So what's the difference there for people who might not know? Okay,
with pre-approval, we've seen your things that maybe you've told us and we've seen online, but once we start getting into this, we want to make sure, that there's nothing that comes up on your report, like you have child support that you're in default of, or you have a tax lien that you need to pay this off before you can have this. That's when they start really looking through everything. And at that point, once it's gone through underwriting, which is basically the last step, they've checked everything. Now, what they've done differently this last year, just because with the pandemic, with layoffs and stuff, they checked just a couple days before to make sure you're still employed there, because a lot of people lost their jobs and now a lot are refusing to go back to work. But they want to make sure that that's all lined up. But at this point, if you have a local lender, you don't see as many issues. But what they want is at the end, they want an updated bank statement. They want updated pay stubs just to go in with the file, just to make sure that everything's complete. And then sometimes the only other things that you might run up against is, okay, we have a repair amendment, but this still didn't get fixed, or the appraiser called out some paint that needs to be, just some scraping, or at least, because you need one window to open at least in each bedroom, and now they have to come out there and they're not. So that's where it might be more of the annoyance, and then maybe that might push closing back. Everything's negotiable until you're signing.
Sure.
And so it might be, hey, we have to push closing back, or something came up and the buyers can't come in and sign at 9, they can come in at noon. And so it's not so much negotiated, but it's one of those, you need to let them know. You don't need an amendment for that because it's still on the same day.
Right.
But everything, it's still negotiating back and forth on a lot of stuff. And as long as you get things in writing, especially if it goes on the next day, at least you have a paper trail. And so it's important to get things in writing.
You talked about repairs not getting made. Who's following up on that? Whose job is it to not ensure that it gets done, but to follow up and see whether it was done or not and report back to the buyer?
It's going to be both realtors working together. And we have such a strong fraternity that, I work very well with all of them. I won't mention names, but if I were to close my eyes and just point, I'm like, oh, yep, done deals with this company and that. But although we're competing, we're not so much competing against each other. I feel like we're competing against the iBuyers out there and other markets, because here in Lubbock, I feel that we're protected and we're so blessed. Realtors are strong relationships with one another. And so the goal is for us to work together. One's representing the buyer, one's representing the seller. But when it comes down to it, we want to make sure we're working together, because with a lot of these realtors I've been working with for years, and it just seems like, oh, I like working with this person, and I know they have a good house. Let's go look at their house. We're not steering from another, but we know that this is going to be smooth. And a lot of times, for especially first-time home buyers, hey, I've worked with this realtor before, and I've had first-time home buyers, and this goes smooth. We're going to keep that streak. And it lessens the walls, the height of the walls, because they're still going to have those down. And so it's just try to be as smooth as possible. But we don't see, once you get to that point, especially once you get clear to close, we don't see anything, like a lot of problems. One thing I will tell you is that if you represent the buyer, this is very important for the realtor to express this. Buyers, do not go look at furniture. Do not go look at cars. Do not touch your credit at all. There's a joke out there where somebody would call up their friend that's a realtor and say, "Hey, we just put an offer on a house. Yeah, we found another realtor. Blah blah blah. What do you think we should do?" And that realtor says, "Oh, celebrate. Go buy a car." Don't touch your credit. Don't touch your credit at all.
I say also don't touch your cash in bank.
Yeah, don't.
I had a buyer who was selling a house in Houston, moving here to Lubbock. The buyer for their house in Houston apparently had come into some money and decided to pay off a loan, and suddenly like $50,000 disappeared out of their checking account to pay off a loan, which seems like a great thing,
Right.
but money disappeared and it kind of put the brakes on the whole process. And
Yes.
they got it back online,
Yeah.
but it was kind of a scary moment that
Yeah.
something might go wrong.
Yeah, with anything like that, if you want to pay anything off extra, because at this point it seems like you already qualify, so don't worry about that. Wait until you get your first electric bill. I mean, just make sure it's yours. The welcome mat's out there. You've met the neighbors. You said, "Well, I like this neighbor. This one's nosy." Whatever on that. But you want to, yes, don't touch anything. And if for some reason you get a lump sum of money, make sure there's a paper trail. They want to see the paper trail.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. So I think the thing that a lot of people run into with that is they get the house under contract and they go buy a new living room set or a new bedroom set to have it delivered the day after
Right.
closing, but they're not thinking about that just hit your credit hard.
Right. So don't do that. Also, if you're engaged and you're buying a house together, do not go get married until afterward. That happened where a couple, they were engaged, they went to close on Monday, but over the weekend they eloped. And now she has a different last name.
Oh.
And so 30 days later is when they can close. And so
Oh, wow.
I don't know who, but it was a title company here that was saying, yeah, you wouldn't believe what had happened. And you don't think about things like that. So keep your name. Don't get married. If however you apply on the loan, you have to keep that. So no changing your name, no nothing. Don't buy anything unless it's cash that is not being counted on. So whatever you hide under the mattress. So,
That's a good call. All right, so we're heading down to the close.
okay.
Next thing I think is probably up on the agenda, unless you're thinking of something else, is that final walkthrough.
Yes.
Every final walkthrough I've been through so far has been fine.
Yes.
And I would say the majority of final walkthroughs are probably fine. Have you ever run across in 18 years a final walkthrough? And first, tell them what a final walkthrough is, and then have you ever run into a problem with the final walkthrough when you were like, oh no?
You'll avoid a lot of the final walkthrough issues because once you have the repair amendment and you're going back there and a lot of the times the inspector will go back out there and will say, yeah, because sometimes you can't check like a panel box or you don't have a conductor or anything like that to check, is it hot, neutral, reverse, anything with electrical issues. So at that point, you've seen it again, everything looks good. Now let's do a final walkthrough within the next couple of days. A lot of the final walkthroughs, if we close at 8 or 9 in the morning, will be the afternoon or evening before. If it's in the afternoon, it'll be that morning. I haven't had anything that has scared me. I once had a closing where another realtor had a closing and they walked in with the toilet seat. So there was some kind of plumbing issue and that's how they presented it. But if you've done your job and kept on top of things, not kept on top of the other realtor or their seller, because you have the buyer, not that, you're not going to micromanage. But with something like that, you've already cut off a lot of the issues.
Have you ever run into a problem at the closing table? I know you always go to your closings. I always go to my closings.
Yeah.
I've never seen a problem, but have you?
No, the only time it might be a name on there or they forgot to send some kind of a document. The thing with that, though, over the last couple of years, they have switched because of TRID, where you have 3 days for the buyers will initial and sign the closing disclosures. So you don't run into that because it used to be sometimes we wouldn't get final numbers until we're there at closing. And so sometimes you don't know, okay, I think that's the right amount for the cashier's check. First closing I had where I represented the buyer, I forgot to tell them to bring a cashier's check. Thank goodness their bank was just down the street. But again, with everything being local and close-knit, you're not driving 20 minutes to your bank or anything like that. But we don't run into a lot of things at closing because with our local title companies, again, I could name off all of them because they're all really fantastic, but they give great service to everybody, that they make sure that everything is lined up ahead of time. And so there's not any horror stories with that. And that's a good thing. I've never seen anybody throw things. The only horror story I've ever heard, and I didn't have anything to do with it, you sign a name affidavit, and it's funny, they always check, oh, what else have you been known as? But the guy looked over and goes, what's that? She goes, don't worry about it. He goes, no, what's that? Apparently she was married before and never told him.
Oh.
And so the closer just
so there are problems at the closing.
There's problems, but I've never
but
had.
Not for you.
And they're like, so the closer's just, okay, sign this. Okay, sign. And I guess it went quick and was quiet. But it's like, yeah, don't worry about it. I'll tell you later. So again, tell if you've been married before, and if you're engaged, don't change your last name until after. No status until after it's funded. After it's official, not after you sign. After it's funded, the funds are there. The seller's been paid. Everything. Wait till that.
So complete honesty is what you're looking for.
Yes, we should be honest in everything, and it's that people will say, well, to tell you the truth. Well, yeah, you should always say that. You shouldn't have to say to tell you the truth. But people also say hot water heater, and that doesn't exist. It's a water heater.
Okay, so to me it sounds like there's a lot of potential problems that someone can run into, but that's what the realtor's for, is to act as the guide, act as the Sherpa, to get them through all of that. Yeah,
that's what we're here. We're here to be not just a realtor, but your trusted advisor.
I know, not in the mouth. Not in the mouth.
Bloopers. This is a blooper.
What do you think? What do you think?
Oh, not the eyes.
Oh. And so let's find out about Andy. Been a realtor for 18 years. We already figured that part out. What did you do before real estate?
Okay, I was working at...
Because everybody's done something before real estate.
Right. So I have been in sales for quite a while. I was at Oak Express and Bedroom Expressions, your complete bedroom group store. I've got that. Great. And this was in Abilene. I took a lateral move up to Lubbock, and I switched off. I know something in the background. And then I became a manager up there also. Well, I left there, and I went over to Haverty's. And I was at Haverty's, and an owner of one of the local real estate companies was there, and I didn't know who he was. He's got the top of something. And so...
Woodstock,
what are you doing, bud?
Woodstock. Come here.
It's to the... Yeah, he knows. He plays fetch. I told you he plays fetch. Go lay with it up there on the bench. But no, so he was reading the paper, and so local owner, we're talking owner of a major company I have franchise out here, and I said to him, just because I'm outgoing and stuff, oh, did your team win? He goes, oh, because I was reading the paper. Oh, I wish I had the sports page or the front page, and I went and got it for him, and he says, oh, sit down. He goes, you should come work for me. I'm like, okay, what do you do? And he told me that he owns a real estate company. I said, I've always thought about one of two things, doing real estate or selling drugs. Pharmaceutical rep. And he told me what I needed, or he said, come in. I came in, they said, these are 6 classes that you need. Go take the classes. I looked up TAREC and did my classes there. At the time, you could do it this quickly, but I did, because they're not open on the weekend or whatnot, I did all 6 classes in 8 days. Did not do a study prep exam, anything like that. And when I went to take the test, you have to get 21 out of 30 on the state and 56 out of 80 on the national. I got 59 and 21. And I mean, some of these, I never saw this. It's kind of guessing. But the lady said it doesn't matter your score, it has the P's for pass. I knew I was going to pass anyway. It was at the Wells Fargo Bank at room 1113. And we got married at 1113. That's my favorite number is 11. Her favorite number is 13. So that made sense to me. And so, also, Bell Farms subdivision is 1113, just in case anybody's wanting to know that.
I did not know that.
And so great up and coming development up there. But that's how it went. And then as a realtor, the first day you're not going to get a listing. It's not going to go under contract the second day, and it's not going to sell the third. So at the time, I was still kind of working at Haverty's, and I was also working at IHOP, working graveyard. That was tough. It's just the hours. And then I left Haverty's, and after my first closing, there was another realtor in my office. I quit at IHOP just to focus nothing but real estate. And this realtor said, that's a foolish thing to do. He's now my broker. But I was all in. And that's how it is with me. It's all in. And which I'll backtrack how I got to Texas here in a second. But that's what I did before. And I love working with people. And I know a lot of people say, I love customer service. Well, go work at Kmart or Sears or Mervyn's or whatever. Yeah, I know those places don't exist anymore. Customer service is great, but you shouldn't strive to satisfy the customer. You should give beyond excellent. Simon Sinek, Kevin Brown with the Hero Effect. Watch what they do and listen to what they do. But that should just be like not even the minimum. The minimum should be, wow. It should be Sean service. Sean service. And so that's how that should work. Now, backtracking to how I got here, okay, because that fits in this as well. I'm from Southern California. Don't hold that against me. I'm from the conservative Orange County part of Southern California. And I got accepted to several schools in California. One in Minnesota. It was, I don't even remember the name. They have a whole branch where they're in like 8 different states as well. And Concordia. That's what, Concordia University. And then a small Adams State in Colorado and ACU. I decided on ACU.
ACU, Abilene Christian University.
Abilene Christian University.
Yes, there's other ACUs around.
Okay, the ACU.
The ACU.
The team that beat Texas in the NCAA basketball tournament this last year, 54-53. And I believe that was a score. And so what happened was I came to Texas.
Okay.
First time I came to Texas was the weekend before freshman orientation. I'd never been to Texas, and I decided on it. I figured if I left, you'd grow up a little faster. You're 2 time zones away.
Sure.
I wouldn't know anybody, and it's not that you're struggling or really on your own, but it helps in the development. 18-year-old boys, we don't know what we're doing in life. We're immature all the way up to, how old am I? But I mean, that's just how it is. Girls mature a lot faster than guys, but this would help. Because if I was still at home, I don't know if I would have ever left California. Thank goodness I did. But I have no idea if I would have left. But so what I say is I'm all in. When it came to real estate and just quitting IHOP and stuff, I'm all in. That's the thing, all in. It's going to either happen or it's going to happen. It's not go big or go home. It's go big or go bigger. I got that from Grant Cardone, 10X it. I listen to at least 33 podcasts a week. It's with the positive mental attitude. And that's the good thing. That's not Pollyanna stuff. That's not cheesy. That's the good thing. Whatever you feed yourself, it's going to how you portray yourself. So you could choose to have a bad day. Tuesday, I had a horrible day until I remembered, no, I'm choosing to have a bad day. And it turned out to be a fantastic day because of that.
That's cool.
But that's how I got into real estate.
That's how you got into real estate. That's how you got to Texas.
Mm-hmm. And I started with a company called Greg Garrett Realty.
Mm-hmm.
It's no longer around. He's now at a different brokerage.
Okay.
But my 2 brokers right now, they're father, son. Am I allowed to say Gene and Russell McGuire?
Yeah, you are.
Gene and Russell McGuire. And a couple others. And then we ended up going over to Exit now. Gene and Kobe and Russell and Bill Kaiser and Melody all were the 5 that not so much started because it's a franchise, it's the franchise, number 1 baby. But have the first one in Lubbock, and then it kept growing, and now we have when I say new location, we've been there for over 6 years. We have the best visibility. We have a digital board. I mean, it's more than just a life changer. It's a game changer. And so that's Exit. It's the second most recognizable word in the world. And it's either Pepsi or Coca-Cola's number 1. But Exit's number 2, but Exit Southeast, especially number 1, baby.
All right, so you're pretty busy as a real estate guy, though, right?
Yes.
How much, just for anybody who's looking at being go big or go bigger type of realtor,
Right.
how many hours a week are you putting into real estate?
All of them.
All of them.
All of them. But I mean,
I drove past on, I'm trying to think of what day of the week it was. It was earlier this week. I drove past the office at 7:15 and you were there.
yeah, I'm trying to get there a little earlier because I'm going to do a quote on this. If you're not getting up till 8 o'clock, you suck. That's from Kia Saad, a master trainer, and he said, you suck, and so you don't want to suck. But it depends. I've never been a morning person. I'm a night owl. But on Fridays, I get to the office. Last 2 years, it had been 5:45 until this summer, where one day it was 3:59. And it's anywhere from 3:59 to really about 5 o'clock. It's very loud during that time because there's 27 songs that I have in a row that I play really loud. No other realtor needs to be up there because I am feeding Brussels sprouts and we're eating liver and onions. That's just key for leave me alone. I'm playing my music loud, but I get a lot of things done. That's where I do a lot of my items of value letters that I send out every month. And I still handwrite a lot of things or personalize it because, again, it's the relational instead of the transactional. But during the day, like before here, I was doing a Bible study with my daughter. I don't know a lot of people, well, first of all, that do a Bible study with their daughter, but that will do it during the day.
Sure.
And so it affords me that opportunity. One other thing that we're in the middle of starting right now, and somehow if I could send a link on this, but my youngest and I are co-CEOs, if you can, just how it works, for a project. It's called PB&J.
Okay.
Project Beagles and Joy. And what we want to do is for those who need a beagle, because everybody needs a beagle in their life, but if we could do rescues or, yes, the whole Fauci thing really irritated me with the 44 beagles and whatnot. But for the last year, we've been looking for something to do. We want to do a nonprofit because we want to do more. People, what they do with that dash from when they were born and when they die, that's how it is these days. And it seems like we're trying to find a way or a reason why to be offended. Instead of being offended, we can't even be offended anymore. We have to look for a reason. But we want to help those. And this is going to be like the anti-Christmas project. What I mean by that is a lot of people... Anybody need our beagle? No. A lot of people that buy a dog for Christmas, they're in the pound within the first couple of months. And so we want to find families that need a beagle. Maybe they're struggling, not so much financially. You need a beagle to afford it. That thing is weird. Afford a beagle. But we want to help those who want a beagle, and we're going to make it nonprofit. We'll take donations. Nathan is still, he already has the website up. He already has a business email. We're not even 24 hours into this. He's sending me links and stuff, and I'm like, this is really cool. But I told him, I said, look, there may be once or twice a year that we're going to Iowa to get the beagle. We're going to Georgia to get the beagle. And I said, we would fly there and rent a car. But it's not so much that, it's that bonding that I get with, because this is how much I love real estate. My family sees it, and they see that I don't go to their soccer games. I coach their team. That's the thing. I'm involved like that. And so I wanted to be so much of a part of their life that I'm big with it. And I've been able to do that because of real estate.
Yeah.
I've never missed a birthday. And a lot of times we have it in the middle of the day, have parties and stuff, because we've homeschooled. And by the way, it's Crystal when I say we, homeschooled. And so it's just that experience that I could have and just the joy of being able, because we've been so blessed to have this one. And then with Jeremy, I have some things in the pipeline. Stay tuned. This is going to be awesome.
Jeremy, your other son.
My oldest one that's a realtor as well. And then in the middle, the one that's the closest to me as far as I'm close to all my kids. What I mean is similarity, even though she doesn't admit it. And 65 days from now, I'm walking her down the aisle, and she's moving to Amarillo. And because of that, I'm going to join the Amarillo Board of Realtors as well. And I'm in the process of, because I know you're a member of Plainview, I've got the paperwork for that. But that way through there, it's not so much want to help buyers, because I'll help buyers anywhere, but it's more of the listings and going up and seeing. And it's only an hour and 48 minutes. It's not like I've stalked how far away my daughter is going, but it's cool. And they're moving up there because he works. His name's Nick. He works for LBK Roofing, and we're so close. I mentioned Melody earlier. It's Melody and her husband that own LBK, and he's a vet. And it's just that they support local businesses, and it's great to support them, or any other roofing company.
Sure.
But we love our local people. But anybody that's out of town for a lender, again, we'll use anybody as long as they know what they're doing. But when it comes, especially with roofs, we want local people. You'll get scams and stuff after major storms.
Sure.
We want local people.
Sure. All right, so busy with the real estate, busy with the family.
Yes.
Good stuff. Busy with the beagles.
Yes.
Or the beagle.
The beagle.
Singular at the moment.
No.
Oh, there's multiple?
No. At the moment, meaning that's it. That's
Oh,
it.
that is.
Yes.
Oh, I was thinking with the
yeah,
PB&J, there might be other beagles temporarily.
Yeah. Well, no, because we would already have established a home, and by the time we bless them. I don't say drop off because that's not with the beagle. By then, we would have already supplied like the food for them, the starter, and a nice home, a dog bed, a kennel cage for at night. Although I recommend the first night's tough, but after that they'll sleep. I mean, beagles love people. That's the thing. They are very gentle and they're not aggressive at all. Some people that pose as doctors, we're trying to train them to bite their ankles. You know, some 80-year-old doctors that are in the spotlight every single day, but we'll not mention his name.
So what else do you do when you're not, and you listen to 33 podcasts a week? What else does Andy do?
I read. The last 2 years I've read 54 books exactly, and this year I think I'm going to hit in the 60s, and I'll mix it up. How to Be a Christian by Babylon Bee is the far one side, but I do a lot of Og Mandino and Napoleon Hill and Brian Tracy and Simon Sinek and Ryan Serhant and Grant Cardone. So it's a lot of the business. I'll do some biographies. It's the positive mental attitude, things like that. How to win friends and influence people. It's those kind, because I want that in here. I haven't turned on Fox News in almost a year, and I'm a political junkie. I'll challenge anybody to a political debate or a sports debate or anything like that, but that really doesn't have an impact in my life. If I watch the game, it's not going to change the outcome. Sure, the Cowboys will win the Super Bowl. We get it. And that's a good thing. But if I watch them or if I don't, I mean, that's why we have the DVR, so I can go back and look at it. We have the Red Zone, and I can watch every touchdown. I had the Major League Baseball package. I get that every year. It's automatically renewed. I've watched a combination of 2 games, and one of them was a complete all-star game. Other than that, it's just snippets. You guys have been to my house for opening day baseball.
Yeah.
I have a countdown for baseball. I'm the biggest baseball fan that I know.
You do lots of countdowns, I'm noticing.
I do a lot of
countdown for your daughter's wedding.
Yeah, 65 days.
65
I have a countdown for a lot of things. But
it'll be 64 when this airs.
60. Okay.
I'll put this up tomorrow.
That's good. Hey, the Beatles have a song 64. After that, so I like that, and I like the Beatles. And so, but yeah, I do have a lot of countdowns. But really, it seems it's my family. That's the thing. Yeah. Now, what's cool also, and we need to invite you for this next time. We do a guys' night out occasionally, and I'm going to talk to Russell. We've talked about this. I said, hey, when November comes around, we need to do the axe throwing, the Raider axe throwing.
Oh, yeah.
And that is just a fantastic time. But I'll tell you how wild some of these guys' nights out get. There was 5 of us once, and we were at Buffalo Wild Wings, and we were there for 2.5 hours. And the last hour and a half, we were putting together a list of the 1,000 greatest songs. That's how wild. So
was it ranked?
No, it was just
1,000.
Brad was trying to put it together, but
right.
Yeah, it's like rock and roll. But I mean, the top, and it wouldn't be like Firemaker or Dancing Days or something like that. It would be, you'd have Led Zeppelin, and that would cover a bunch. Eric Clapton, and that would cover a bunch. So you wouldn't have as Wonderful Tonight and Layla and Cocaine. It would be Eric Clapton. Oh yeah, it's probably about 10. There's 10.
Okay.
So we would do that, and Simon and Garfunkel and things like that. But you'd get close to that.
Do you have this list available?
Brad's working on it. If we can ask.
All right. I was just thinking we might need to publish that list with the video.
Brad, if you're watching. So, but yeah, I'll ask him about that.
All right.
And so that'd be pretty cool, just to have. But that's the kind of, it's bonding stuff.
Yeah.
And we've done it at 4 Golf, and we did it at. We went out to eat at Mateo's, I think is what it was. And what was cool about that was that here there was 5 of us guys, and we didn't even pay for the food. Lovely young lady came by and said, "There's 5 studs right there. I'm paying for it." It was a local lender. He said, I'm treating on this. And so I didn't break any rules or anything like that because, she paid for it and had nothing like that. But yes, I'm sorry, no, it was Chase. Yeah, it was a major lender. No, but it was really sweet and stuff like that. And so we've had, I don't know, it's cool. So that's some of the stuff that I do. And being able to, we just got back from a week-long rally convention, and it's cool. There were 16 from our office, and we just got to bond more outside of the office. But it's just how we see it. Exit Realty. I know that I'm making this specific, but up there, it's. Do you know we're actually a family up there, and we disguise ourselves as a real estate company? It's just a front. We give you great service, but we do care about each other and the community. That's what we give. And Habitat, all the houses that we've built over the last couple of years has been just fantastic. And a lot of things that we don't advertise, but we do something around Christmas for families that are going through health issues or financial issues. And one thing real quick I'll talk about, this Chuck E. Cheese party, which I dressed up as Santa there.
All right.
But one year I was able to give a kid a football. He was a huge University of Texas fan. And I'm going to go blank on his name. Wow. I just went blank. I almost said Earl Campbell, but it wasn't Earl Campbell. It was
if you think of it,
yes.
Text me.
Jerry Gray.
Jerry Gray.
Gray.
I'll put it down below.
Right. So Jerry Gray, who was the defensive back coach at the time for the Vikings, but he went to, I believe, Estacado, and I got in touch with him, and he sent, because since he went to the University of Texas, he sent an autographed football for me to give to one of the kids that we were sponsoring. And it was amazing. And what was so cool is where our office was and where my house is, I'd every day, a couple times going back and forth, I go by a house where this guy's this huge Viking fan. And so it's off of 60th and over in that area. And I got the football that afternoon. This is 3 hours before the party starts. I went up to his house and showed him. And he goes, that's so cool. And he's telling me about he works at this tire company. He goes, you ever need anything, come see me. But just the fact that here I was sharing a joy that I was going to, just for a second, just to give this kid this football and how it impacts this guy's life. It's like, here's somebody who's paying attention, who stops at my house and says, look what Jerry Gray from the Vikings, I'm a Viking fan. So that's the big thing as far as that. I will tell you, when you call and get the NFL, when you call a team, when you're on hold, the music's awesome. He rolls out, completion. So the hold music's pretty cool. And I still have the voicemail saved on my phone. And so I'll play that off of here. But it's just a lot of things that we do that the community may not know.
Yeah.
But who we serve, they do. And we have a very good name. I think that the majority of the real estate offices, the realtors out here, because we're so close, we have a very good camaraderie, and we're blessed to have one another.
Yeah.
So yeah,
that's cool. Well, man, thank you for spending the afternoon with me, chatting and talking about all kinds of stuff.
I will tell you, I picked this one because Tyler, Texas, and that's where Nick and Natalie, they're going to wait till the spring. They're going to Tyler, Texas, where they're going to have their honeymoon.
Oh, nice.
And the reason on that is you want to wait till the spring. The Yellow Rose of Texas, it'll be frozen in January.
But Tyler in the spring will be covered in roses.
It's covered in their Yellow Rose of Texas. And so, but yeah, we're blessed to have Nick in our lives. So this is a very good thing.
That's awesome. Well, man, thank you. Appreciate it.
Well,
see y'all in the next video.
I'm telling you, this is good.
It is good.